Our final panel for the day dives into one of the most important long-term challenges, future-proofing tourism, building the talent pipeline for a rapidly evolving industry. Joining us for this discussion are our moderator, Ms. Aminath Rushma, General Manager of Human Resources at Maldivian, and our panelists, Mr. Ali Shamin, Cluster Director of Talent and Culture, Accor Group, Mr. Aalim Mohamed, Group Director of Human Resources, Pulse Hotels and Resorts, and Mr. Mauroof Mohamed, Cluster Director of Human Resources, Dusit Thani and Dusit D2 Feydhoo. Please join me in welcoming the panel.
Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon to you all. And as Huda mentioned, the topic for today is future-proofing tourism, building the talent pipeline for a rapidly evolving industry. So we are saving best for the last. So we'll talk about people who makes our industry the heart of our economy. So we have a very special panelist, and I think they will bring in a very insightful conversation to this topic. So I will start with my first question. I think referring to the keynote speaker, Dr. Naushad also mentioned that we have around only 40% of locals in our tourism industry. So this is a bit of a challenge to in building a very strong local workforce. So why do you think that? Are we truly short on local talent, or it is more about a mismatch between the skills we have and what the industry needs? Aalim?
With regards to local talents, I think the first thing we need to look at is statistics, right? How many students are graduating from the school, and those number of graduating numbers, and how many are going abroad for further studies, and how many are available for all the industries across the Maldives, right? From that perspective, when we look at, for example, I did my last survey, which I did in the industry, was back in 2018, prior to COVID. When I was in Marriott, we did a survey because we were opening few hotels from Marriott side. So we did a Maldives survey, and we identified that Maldivian tourism industry, based on the numbers that we did, the analysis in the Maldives, we were short of 6,000 employees in terms of the market demand in the industry versus what we need, right? So basically, the demand, we have the demand, but the supply is not there. So we found out that in order to tackle this, we need to partner with schools, right? So there are definitely shortages which we can see, and actually it is not only tourism industry, right? I spoke to airline industry, I spoke to different other industries. I think every industry in the Maldives is going through the same challenge. So the question is, why the workforce is having that shortage, right? So why people are not willing to come into the workforce? So why we have youngsters leaving schools, and where are they moving, right? So I think there is a national level, really deep dive that the policy level government need to get into this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Aalim. I think the rest of the panel discussion will also cover what steps we need to take in order to fill this gap. Shamin, do you have anything to add to this?
Thank you very much. First of all, I really appreciate giving me the opportunity to come here and give my perspective on employment in the Maldives, especially in the tourism sector. I think this is my very first time talking to an audience in the Maldives, because I've been out of the country for over a decade. So I might have a bit of a different perspective than the rest of the panelists, but don't take it personal, please, yeah? All right, so the first question that you asked me is, are we really short of talent for the industry? My bold answer would be no, because we do have a lot of talent in the Maldives, and the opportunities are not reaching to the right audience. That would be my answer. One very small example is, when we all open resorts, government is mandating you must have 40% locals. So what I have done, what you have done, and what you all have done is you have gone to Kurdufushi, Addu, Formula, Manadu, Holudu, Huriha. I mean, you go to all the islands, you make sure you meet your numbers. 40%, yes, exactly. So what happened afterwards? 6 months down the line, your number reduces to maybe 30, 32%, 40%. Sorry, it goes down and down. Because A, no one is monitoring it. B, we are too busy in our operation as HR to make sure we replace those that are leaving or moving to other opportunities to be replaced by same Maldivians. You might say that I'm having a very patriotic view. Yes, the question is about Maldivians. So I am saying this is one of the reasons. Why? Because we don't approach the right audience. I'm coming to Maldives every year, I think, 3 times or 4 times I come to Maldives. And every time I come, a lot of the families, a lot of the parents who know me from my time back in the days in Maldives, they actually reach out to me and say, hey, Shamin, my son or my daughter has approached to 6, 7 resorts for a job, but he or she wasn't successful. Or, can you help? Just barely saying that, can you help? And I can actually proudly say that I've placed a lot of these kind of kids. And today, some of them are holding outlet manager jobs, FM manager jobs, housekeeper jobs as well. I'm not actually putting a badge on my shoulder, but rather I'm saying that it's an example that the opportunities are there, the vacancies are there, but it's not reaching the right audience actually. I think a lot of the kids, a lot of the team members, a lot of the audience here is from the atolls or from the islands. Have you ever seen a resort job advertisement posted in Island Council notice board? Raise your hand and tell me, I challenge you. The bold answer is no, you wouldn't see it. Because we're not reaching out. We're not reaching out to the audience. Have you seen it in the college notice board? Maybe in the senior college you might see it. But have you seen it in Majidiya school, Aminia school? Have you seen it? Because you've got kids who are actually getting ready to go to tourism industry or to the workforce that are studying there right now at the age of 17 or 16, they are there. This is when we need to tap into them. And this is where we need to tap into them as well.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Shamin. How about Mauroof? Do you have anything to add to this topic as well?
For me, over here, we always, since we have so many salespeople over here, they always talk about the average occupancy and how many nights the guests are spending over there in the resorts. So when it comes to HR, we are actually 9.5 years per staff. Actually, that length of service, they do it in Thani. So, for example, Rifa also, when she resigned, again she come back. Yeah, so Rifa could be a 3rd time repeater for us now. Yeah, so likewise, we have so many repeaters also. So when it comes to Dusitani, or when it comes to D2 now, we actually thought that it would be very difficult for us to recruit. But I was very surprised actually. For a waiter job, can you believe that we have 500 CVs coming? And from 500, how am I going to select about 20 or 30 staff? And first time in the Maldives history, we are having an executive chef who is opening a 5-star Maldivian resort by a Maldivian. Yeah, come on, guys, give a round of applause. It's an achievement, right? So, likewise, I think that if we reach, as our colleagues say, if we reach to the right audience, we will be able to have the good candidates. For example, when it comes to youths or when it comes to the younger generation, they will remember that they don't have a job at 11 o'clock at night when they go for coffee. So that's where you need to be awake. That's where you need to catch them. They will remember that they need to go for a job tomorrow around 11 to 12 o'clock at midnight. So if you can answer to those calls, you will be having pretty good, talented staff actually. So answering to the question that we have so many skilled and so many Maldivians who is actually wanted to come and work in the resorts.
Thank you. I think it's true that a lot of Maldivian students are pursuing their hospitality studies abroad, like Taylor's University in Malaysia, FHTS in the Maldives, and I think they can even select travel and tourism as one of their selectives. But after graduation, we don't see many of these students pursuing their career in the tourism industry. So, Aalim, why do you think that this disconnect is there? How can we encourage more students to join after their graduation and to thrive in this sector?
So I think, first of all, Shamin highlighted very good point with regards to this. At the island level, how are we actually promoting the sector? How are we positioning the sector in the mindset of parents and even actually responsible people in every island, right? So I think that's a very good, valid point. Coming into this, since I have tourism ministry here as well as a lot of other industrial leaders, when Switzerland first introduced hospitality education, right, back in, I think, 1919, around that time, they were having 4% tourism industry contribution in their economy. Today, we have 35% to 40% contribution to our economy, and we are still struggling as a nation to establish a hotel school, right? And, especially, for example, salespeople will understand, you do a contract with your agencies, and then next year you do an addendum, probably some additions, whatever, right? So likewise, we have a Maldives National University having appendices like that kind of attachment, Maldives Hospitality, Faculty of Hospitality Education, right? So what we are seeing is at the university level, there's no priority of developing actually people, right? So it's a faculty where there's no strategy behind it, there's no long-term vision into it, there's no actual substance in how we are going to really make use of this, right? So in my opinion, we have to remove Faculty of Hospitality and Tourism from Maldives National University and create a separate, university or, college for hospitality industry, right? So that's how Switzerland have become such a resilient economy when it comes to developing their tourism industry. And until today, our government and our policy level is struggling to find out a solution to this, right? And what we didn't understand is the bloodline is actually tourism, right? Having that kind of bloodline, you can cut your bloodline, you're going to bleed to that, right? So even having that kind of fragile situation in the Maldives, we don't know how to connect the education sector to the industry, and we are struggling today. And you can go and talk to every lecturer in Maldives Faculty of Tourism Studies, that faculty. You can say that they are also not getting the support they need in their own faculty to develop the kind of curriculum. Until today, we don't have a good apprenticeship program or something like that from there. You have Manhattan Business School over there, that was first initiated to create this hotel school. And we couldn't find a solution, right? We could have turned that one into a hotel school and really create a solid hotel school foundation there. And we had very good resources, but we didn't know how to use the resources, right? So I think we are looking far into Taylor's College or Switzerland or Singapore, anywhere. We need to look at our own household and see what are we doing, right? So I think the point here is we don't have a strategy, we don't have a vision, we don't know what we are doing, we don't know how to connect the industry and the education both together, right? So we need to have a proper bridge and a solid foundation laid in between this in order to create the resilience we need for the industry. So that is, in my opinion, the biggest problem is the education, our education system is not building students for the future success. I was in one of the forums, and I remember a lecturer was punishing a student in Maldives National University for using AI in the assignment, right? Come on. you are giving a calculator to person and then say, you cannot use this calculator to calculate. Come on, we are asking, leverage the resources you have, optimize everything that you have, synergize this, get the best out of it, right? And we need creativity out of these people. So I think we need to encourage people to utilize technology, optimize what we have, and create the synergy to get the maximum out of it. I think Maldives have one of the most intellectually gifted people in the world, and we are still struggling to realize our potential. It's a big question we need to ask ourselves, why is it?
Thank you. I mean, when you mentioned that the proper bridge that needs to be built in order to, build the right workforce. So we are talking about a lot of stakeholders that needs to sit in one place and come up, to align their vision to create the workforce that we all are dreaming of in the Maldives, the local workforce that we wish that the tourism industry would have. So, Aalim, just to follow up, to create this, where do we need to start?
Okay.
What is the next step that we need to do?
So the next thing is, I think we need to look at industrial revolution, because industrial revolution 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 4 is digitalization. I think you look at number 5 will be personalization, right? So when you look at personalization, the question is, how are we going to personalize the entire industrial revolution alignment of our students who comes from the schools to the industry? How do we actually create this personalization, right? And if you really look at this, we need to go back into the diversity of our industries, right? And in terms of generational diversity. You look at every preceding generation, their core problem is being solved by the succeeding generation, right? So you look at baby boomers, traditionalists, Generation Next, millennials, and Gen Z, right? So what has happened was we have millennials right now leading the industry. In the Maldives, actually, based on 2022 census, 68% is Gen Z and millennials, right? So we have a very young population. And if you look at the industry in public sector, those public sector institutions who are formed prior to 2010, we have around 75% Gen Zs and millennials combined together. And after 2010, those institutions that were formed, they have over 80% to 90%, right? And I think looking into these numbers also, you can see how generations have been evolved in these sectors, right? And one thing I noticed is for example, millennials were born without technology, right? And then they were actually introduced into the experience of Gen X. So basically, we were groomed and we were brought into the industry and groomed by Gen X and the traditionalists, you can say. Gen X were trained by traditionalists, and traditionalist view is very resilient views, very hard-working, that is Industrial Revolution 2.0. They have worked really, really hard, right, to build the nation. And now we have Gen X and traditionalists who actually groomed millennials. And millennials were able to adapt to Gen X, particularly because we were introduced to technology after we came into school, right? So when we were in teenage and we came to school, we finished school, we had the technology. So basically, we have the experience of without technology and with technology. So the way we adapted to Gen X was a natural transition. We were able to adapt into Gen X, the work style, the work ethics, work culture, and you name it, right? But when it comes to Gen Zs, they didn't know about without technology. You can tell them about without technology, they don't know about it, right? So basically, we cannot take something alien to them and ask them to adapt into it. Right now, you don't need to adapt into Gen X. So looking into the industry numbers, right, if you really look at hospitality industry, on average, we'll have about 90 plus percentage will be Gen Z and millennials right now. And at this very moment, if you really look at any resort in the Maldives, Gen Z numbers will be between 25% to 30% right now. And in 2030, it will be over 30%. So basically, you are talking about an industry that is struggling to bridge how we are going to connect these Gen Zs to the industry. And we have in the middle millennials. So you need to bridge between millennials to Gen Z And then alpha is coming beyond 2030. We are not ready for alpha because we are still struggling how to manage our industry by integrating and bridging the mentality, the characteristics, and the differences of Gen Zs to the industry. So I think we need to shift from the mindset of the previous generational shift and the experiences to how we are going to connect the industry with Gen Zs. And there is a big gap with regards to the mindset we need to create. I think everybody is struggling how to manage Gen Zs, right? So for me, you are very well gifted with intellectual capacity where you can brainstorm as a leadership team. This is the problem I have with my Gen Zs. How am I addressing this one? What consequences am I getting when I address this in this way? And then brainstorm yourself collectively. How are we going to collectively strategize so that we can prevent this problem and potential problems and really tackle in the future so we can effectively manage Gen Zs and prepare for the future when Gen Alpha comes into the industry, right? So I think the bridging of the educational sector to the industry, we need to realize the different characteristics and see how we can integrate fully into the industry. So that will actually help us to prepare even for 25 years. You think about 50 years. You need to always think ahead, how are we going to integrate all this together, right? I think Rajesh presented very well on this technology part, and we need to really leverage all this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Aalim. Shamin and I had a very interesting conversation over lunch about his experience in Doha. So over the past few years, you have worked in Doha for about 4 to 5 years, and I think you have been abroad for the past decade also. So what work ethics and employee engagement strategies or talent retention or development practices have you seen that can be adapted to the Maldivian context?
Thank you. Before I go to the answer for that question, referring to what Aalim has mentioned about the hotel school and the talent pipeline, I wanted to say that we cannot only put this on the government or on the hotel school alone itself as well. We as industry experts, we as industry resorts, we should also take our fair share of responsibility. I can go out and ask how difficult it is for you to train a waiter. And how long does it take? Do you really need a hotel school to train a waiter? You don't need. You need a proper table setup, maybe 4 or 5 days of training. Maldivians are regarded as the most hospitable people, naturally gifted hospitality human beings. I work overseas, I've got 2,100 employees, 82 nationalities I have, and I can confidently say, until today, everyone who I've met so far, I can guarantee us as Maldivians, they've got the best hospitality skills. They're naturally gifted. I tell you a conversation I had with my MD. Thank you. I tell you a conversation I had with my MD last week, and he's an Italian, generally very passionate in the way how they talk. And then he said, Shamin, I want you to bring 20 Maldivian waiters. I said, why? His name is Stefano. I said, why? Why do you need? And he said, look, you guys have got the best smiles, best character, best attitude, and you guys never tire of. You're very hardworking guys, that's why. And I said, look, unfortunately, I've tried this drill, but it doesn't work for Maldivians to come and work in the desert in junior levels. For senior levels, yes, they are ready, but junior levels, they don't. Going back to the question for Aalim, I actually wanted to say, let's not actually put the responsibility only on the hotel school or the government or the tourism ministry. Let's also take our own fair share of responsibility, and let's make sure that we train the people. We've got naturally gifted people, so let's train ourselves the talent that we need as well. Now I go back to my actual question. Thank you. Yeah. The question was about what strategies we could bring.
What are the
right?
work ethics or practices that you've seen there that can be adapted to the Maldivian context?
Actually, one of the things that I see most commonly that could be adapted is the strategies. I mean, in Middle East, when you come up with a strategy, you maintain it. You don't change it, in the course of 1 year, 1.5 years, you don't change it. Unless, obviously, a war breaks out, which is happening right now. But you keep your resistance to it and you continue with what you have promised to deliver. That's one thing. But what I'm seeing in Maldives many times among the tourism industry is either it's labor strategy or either it is marketing strategy or sales strategy. You guys can disagree with me. But you guys are very volatile and we change a lot. Definitely with HR, we were changing every time. The directive from the government could be 40% locals, but actually me as a GM or HR director, I have my own rules, I apply it on my own, and I do whatever I want in the end, because there's no one to check on us. There's no one to monitor. So I actually implement my own laws, own regulations, actually. So going back to what you asked, what could be the best thing that we could bring from overseas is, once you implement a strategy, once you have a plan, fix to it. Be with that and make sure you work on it. Because if you continue to change what you wanted to do, you will never reach anywhere. Going back to, again, about very, very HR specific, I think some of the laws and regulations from the government side in Middle East, they're quite strict and quite tough. They've got very good monitoring mechanisms. I tell you, in Doha, we have got a standard from the Ministry of Labor, which is called Workers' Welfare Standard. Literally, the standard tells you as an investor who is coming to invest in Doha or in Qatar, you will be told, yes, your guest room size should be this many square meters in order to get 5-star. The same way they will tell you, your staff accommodation must have this, and this should be the distance between the washroom and the bed even. I'm not joking, yeah? So those kind of strict regulations and monitoring mechanisms has to be there. And that is something that we could adapt. And I do understand that tourism ministry has, I'm looking at the tourism ministry team. Tourism ministry has actually regulations, but I highly doubt whether it is being monitored and whether it is being actually followed through. Maybe at the opening phase you go and check, but afterwards, like I said, we do whatever we want actually.
Shamin, you mentioned that, the regulations they have, but going back to it, in Maldives, the resorts are very isolated where, they have to be in very remote areas to do their jobs. So are we really focusing on when setting policies, are we only focusing on the 8-hour, what we need to set during the working hours? So do you think we need stronger regulations for, especially for the tourism industry, what they have to have during, in the workplaces, engagement activities? And so I think you mentioned this during our discussion, during the lunch, that people need to have more engagement activities in the workplace where they need to be more focused, more relaxed, and to have, for their mental well-being and everything. So that when they come to work, to work, they would be more relaxed and they would be able to deliver more.
I think, everyone also, you see, when you work in resorts, I've done it for 9 years. And why did I went overseas? Because I want to have a family time. So basically to have a normal job. I think the government came up with a proposal, I think a few years ago, about having the opportunity for locals to go home after working hours. To be honest, I was euphorious about it. But it didn't happen, obviously. So that's where the motivational factor comes, and that's where the engagement factor comes as well. You finish your 8-hour job, You go home, you either play with internet or you stay at home in the bed and then next day morning you go. But I must admit that a lot of the resorts, they do have very, very good engagement calendars and they do run a lot of engagement activities. Even from my time, from 10 years ago as well, we used to run. I mean, science proves that people who are engaged, their productivity is 55% better than the people who are not engaged in an engagement activity. And these are science-based researches. It's not something that Shamin is telling, but this is proof. So the more engagement activities you provide, the more standards you provide to give engagement activities, that's where you get better productivity. And I think that sums it all for us as working in very remote, very isolated islands. To be honest, when you look at Middle East, the kind of engagement that you would do is a little different than that you would do in Maldives, because in Middle East, everybody is living in the city unless you work for Red Sea project. So you go home, because for example, I finish my work 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, I go home to my family. But in Maldives, you're entangled in the resort itself, so you must have, and I must admit that a lot of the Maldivian resorts, they're very, very good with the engagement activities. They have got a lot of facilities that they provide for employees as well. And recently, I would say some of the facilities are really, really fantastic. But I still have the question mark whether we monitor it regularly. There is no monitoring body. That's how I feel, actually. I might be wrong, but that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamin. Mauroof, I think last week our transport minister said that, he also highlighted that there is a major mismatch between in the aviation sector where, we have 700 trained pilots, but we do not have demand for it with the supply we have. So this raises a question about the tourism industry as well, since a lot of scholarships are provided for other industries, and tourism being the backbone of our economy. Should the government be prioritizing scholarships and, structured training programs for the hospitality industry instead, rather than focusing on other areas? I mean, not rather than prioritizing.
Okay, for this question, in one way, I should say, Subhanallah. In other way, I have to say Alhamdulillah. So I am actually not certain. Maybe, Minister knows that you're going to ask this question to me. Yesterday, actually, Minister has stopped the scholarships, actually. That's what I have seen from the news. Maybe he knows that you're going to ask this question. So he cannot say that it's previous government, right? Hopefully he will not say that. Okay.
I did not say that.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that. That's normal, right? Previous government. Okay, the question is, for example, it's out of the context even. How does these 700 pilots get trained? That's the question actually I have to just ask as a normal people, right? For example, I have 2 staff. Actually, they have to mortgage their house in order to get the student loan. Are you guys familiar with this one? To get a student loan, you have to mortgage your own house. I have 2 staff who is stuck that they cannot get a loan even from the government because they have a student loan. Imagine 700 families. Out of this one, 65% of the people has taken students loan. How irresponsible can we be? As a nation, and even the bank shouldn't be allowing actually students loan like this. It's very emotional actually when it comes to the staff, when it comes to their well-being, because at the end of the day, HR becomes their parent actually. Because we are the people who should do the counseling, we are the people, again, see, how are they going to manage their finances? The kids are here, they already did their pilot license, and on top of it, 2 burdens are there. Being a pilot, having a loan, and the parent has to pay the loan. Going back into the question again about what can we do? The government should be prioritizing. Yes, absolutely. For example, 70% of the dollar exchange is actually from the tourism industry. Yeah, and in addition to that, what we are seeing actually is what we can do is we can create more sustainable opportunities. For example, I mean, there are a lot of colleagues actually who has worked with me before. The moment that we have entered into the hospitality industry, our salary was $75. And our service charge is being paid in rupiah. I mean, I think it's going to be the same time of, 20 years back is repeated, I think, paying service charge in rupiah, right? Hopefully that will not be repeated by the international resorts. And the thing is, at that time also, I actually called to my dad, and I called and said that I have done my, schooling. Then I went and I did my psychology and counseling, and I was a counselor before then. I wanted to go into the same path as you. I mean, I'm sorry that I have to say in Divehi, English I don't know how to say. Dad said that, Subhanallah, iti dua ko kurang ever kami nune. And the guy, Beja, you can imagine how he says it. Then I was wondering that, but my dad, I mean, you've been working in Conrad for 16 years, and again, you are already working in Anantara, now he's already been there for 15 years, and why you don't want me to be there? I said that, you don't imagine that how things are here in the resort. You better don't come over here. So I actually have to pack my bag and leave without even knowing to him, and he got very upset. He didn't talk to me also like for 3 months. And the thing is, I mean, that's the ambition that people have it actually for, I mean, most of them actually don't. How many, parents are here? How many of you have kids? Okay, we all have, okay. How many of you want your kids to be working in hospitality industry? I mean, imagine the number. Can you believe? How many of you have sent your kids to abroad to study? Not be, okay, how many of you have sent your kids to study tourism industry? Any job in tourism related? Okay, so the question is, how are we going to sustain our industry? If we are working in hospitality industry, and we don't want our kids to be working in hospitality industry. In addition to that, when we studied also, there is something that our, teachers also said, I'm happy that in O-level I have one friend over here, Hamim, and A-level I have Aalim actually. So they say that once you finish school, you will become a general manager. That's how, how much ambition they give it to us, but at the end of the day, we come and work as a clerks after school finish. And going back again, question which been asked, what can we do as individuals? Yes, government should be doing their part. What we have done in Baitol is we have created a D-Lab. D-Lab is one and only hospitality lab in the Maldives. Some of you would have heard about it, which is there in Daravandu. We have created a reception. We have created a small bedroom. We have created the computer room. We have created a small kitchen and a bar area where they do it, not the mocktail. And then once a month, one of our HOD will be going and teaching the students how to cook, how to do the bedding, how to do the reception work, and they will be doing the mocktails and all those. So, and the other thing what we started doing is 7 years back is we started bringing grade 3 students from nearby 4 islands. So we hope that next year we will be able to see the outcome of that one. We bring them for a day and we show them actually all the facilities, for example, guest rooms, and we show them the reception, we show them the kids club, and we just give a one-day show round actually for these kids. With that way, at least we expect that out of 80 students, at least 2 students or 3 students will be interested to come back and work with us. And we are not bringing only the students, we bring it with the parents, with the teachers as well. So at least they know that the atmosphere they are coming and working as well. So yes, a lot of, things that the government also has to do, but as individuals, we also should be prioritizing a lot.
Thank you, Mauroof. Mauroof, I also studied travel and tourism for my diploma. So after I finished, my father said, I think he talked to your father, and then he said, so I was not allowed to go to work in a resort. So I think they all go to the same school. And then they have this thing I think there is a misconception, I think. Aalim, do you think people have this reluctance in sending their daughters to resorts to work?
I think with regards to the perception, right? Perception of the industry is when the industry started, that the industry didn't have such kind of rules, or policies and procedures. Is after the international hotel chains came, and then best practices were actually being, copied, I would say, by other resort chains as well. I think after the introduction of international hotel chains, we have learned quite a lot in terms of standardizing policies, procedures, disciplining. Hospitality industry is one of the most disciplined industries in the Maldives, and that is why you have hospitality industry moves so fast. And in that sense, I would say, because of that, we can see a massive difference. But the perception out there when we were young, right, it's like, sometimes, sorry to say this, people thinks that it is so proud for them to talk about all the bad things they do in resorts, that they talk in local islands when they go on holidays. We heard about these things, and I thought this is how it looks like. But when I came in the industry, I said it's really the opposite, right? So I wouldn't say, if you really look at the culture-wise, most of the crimes in the Maldives is happening in Malay. Most of the crimes. The least crimes that are happening, the least is in resorts. Least, if not minimal, you can say it's very well monitored, very well actually handled throughout the resort. So we have actually quite good, safe working environments, I would say, for all employees in resorts. It's far from the reality, how some people perceive the industry. And I think one area is sometimes, people also talk how hard they work in the industry, especially long hours, like 14 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours. It's also, I would say, now after the employment law came, there are very good procedures in place whereby people actually can stick to their 8 hours, or, over time, maybe 1 or 2 hours, and they can even, manage it in that way, right? So I think there are good positive aspects we can look into, Thank you.
I think we need to create more awareness regarding this. I think people are still not aware about these things.
I would give credit to Aisha here, actually. Give a round of applause to Aisha from Ministry of Tourism. I know Aisha for the past 15 years from Tourism Ministry, the work that Aisha and her team actually does in creating this awareness, right? Despite that, we still actually have challenges. Really, you are right, filling that gap. We agree, and I went with Aisha, and we conducted several sessions in many of the schools in Malay and, in this region. So there are some efforts, still we need a lot of effort, especially from the industry. I agree with Shamin. There is a role that we need to play as a shared responsibility as industry, I think the employees, how we can attract and create that kind of confidence in public that this industry is really the future, and there is a huge lot of potential for our families and the future of this nation that we need to focus on. Thank you.
Thank you, Aalim. I think before we wrap up, Shamin or Mauroof, do you want to add anything to this?
I think I agree with Alim's statement.
Thank you, Arish. Thank you, Pen. I think they gave very valuable insights to how we are growing the talent in our industry, how we can do this. And we can see, although there is a mismatch, there is a real opportunity for us to grow local talent. Yes, Aalim, yes.
Actually, before I leave this, I want to add something. I did a research with regards to, World Economic Forum did a research about they did in 2023, Future of Jobs survey. In that survey, they did the future, basically reskilling needs of different industries across the globe, right? And based on that survey, they did a list of upskilling, reskilling requirements that people see from the industry perspective. And I did I took the same survey question and survey, and then I conducted the survey with a lot of public sector, these SOEs, and then also private sector, right? And I also did the same survey with school high achievers. And that I'm talking about the top achievers of Maldives in one of the forums, right? And what I have noticed is the public sector, there was, I would say, 60% similarities when it comes to public sector and the global data. And then private sector, almost 85% similarities. So basically, we also agree that these skill requirements are there. But something very shocking that I have found is the top achievers, what they believe the skills they need is entirely different from industry professionals' things, which is motivation and self-awareness. The top achievers in the Maldives also is looking forward and lacking the motivation they need and also the self-awareness on which direction and how they are going to move. That means we really need to, all the industries have a shared responsibility to guide school leavers how we can actually take care of them and guide them to help them achieve the best out of their skills, their competencies, and their strengths, and then guide them which field they should actually choose. So I think this is something very important we need to consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Aalim. I think we need to rethink on investing more on this industry, and from all our discussions, we agree that we need to align our education with the industry need as well. So thank you, panelists. I think it was very informative. And I think we will open for questions from the floor. Yes.
Oh my God, there's so many people.
Koba. I just say I have to make a statement because the summit will not be successful without me making a statement, right? I'm not an HR person. I work in sales and marketing. But listening to what all the HR panelists just said, as the experts said, it's rather an observation from my side that we, in order to address the topic of this panel, building the talent pipeline for rapidly developing industry, I think we have to change our thinking from an HR perspective and from resort management perspective. Right? I will make a very controversial statement here. I do not want my children to go and be a room boy or a waiter. That's it. There I say that. Okay. So there's two issues in the tourism industry, right? Attracting and retaining talent. First, attracting. Why should I send my child, or why should a child who just completed A-level and got grade 10, A-level, whatever the award, would go to become a room boy in your resort? Why? She could work in the bank in Urdu, where she's paid, she's looked after, she spends time with the family. She gets a job in Fanaka. The government creates lots of jobs in local communities. Why should you go into this road, right? After 53 years of tourism, we are still seeing this. We are trying to attract the wrong talent to our industry, the wrong talent from our community. We are a very small population, 500,000, I think, right? And if we all make even 2-3 babies a year, we will not even reach 1 million in 50 years, right? So we have a very small population, and a big portion of that is becoming old, where they are getting out of the employment or the job sector, and the rest is becoming very young and highly educated. They are all having their master's degrees, their A-level, and now I think we have in the governments the free degrees. So almost all the kids are now graduates, right? They have masters or first degrees, right? So why would they go and become your room boy, your lifeguard, your waiter? No. We should think that. So attracting the right talent. I will take this as an example, right? As an example, to attract right talent. 2025, here we are. Just a few days ago, somebody called me from an island and said, hey, a big hotel company is coming to my island. And they are searching for children from the island as apprenticeship program, what they call. And he sent me the screenshot of that apprenticeship program. And I will read it for you, okay? I did not come here with this plan to read this through, but since you mentioned this, I wanted to highlight. Those apprenticeship positions were somebody for laundry, somebody for gardening, somebody for a lifeguard. No, we don't want our children to go and do these jobs. We want our children to be supervisors, managers, director of sales and marketing, general managers. This is where we want to be. Because we have a highly educated citizen, highly educated. Okay. So the next thing is this is attracting, right? So I think the industry is attracting the wrong people for the wrong jobs. You're not creating this for, you're not hiring for the right jobs, okay? That's why the young, highly educated people are not joining the industry, okay? Let alone the taboo about women joining the industry. Resorts are highly male-dominated society, and we are a very conservative society. So that issue will be there for the longest time to come, right? We can't change it. And retaining, okay? Retaining is, how are we retaining people in the industry? As Mauroof said, we stay in an industry for 9.5 years or whatever, right?
So let me correct it actually. It's actually, this is Thani Maldives actually.
For you,
yeah,
for yours.
Yeah.
Okay. So now retaining, okay, what we do, what in our resorts do we do to retain these people, right? What are the development programs do we have a development program for each and every staff? Okay, I was reading, again, I was scrolling through the internet, and I heard somebody say, this specific kid came from a local island, went through an apprenticeship program in 2009. In 2025, he just reached to become a supervisor in an excursion department. 16 years for him to become a supervisor. So that's the reality in how we attract, how we retain our people, right? Is it worth for him to waste 16 years of his life just to become a supervisor? He speaks very well, he's good looking, he comes with really, really good results in school, but this apprenticeship program that this resort had created wasted 16 years of his life, right? So I think these are areas we need to look at when we are trying to attract, especially the young and the young generation into the industry. Otherwise, we can't. Look at other countries. No, you see, your apprenticeship program should start, internship program to start from supervisors with a promise. In 2 years, you will be the director of sales and marketing of this resort. This is the plan. This is the plan, these are the things you have to do. In 3 years, you will become the resort manager. In the next 5 years, you will become the general manager. If we don't give that dream, create that vision, you will never attract Maldivians in the industry, because we are becoming a highly educated country, and the people, they will not simply go and be your room boy, your waiter, your lifeguard after graduating from colleges and universities in Malaysia, Australia, UK, and whatever, right? So I think this is the real issue, okay? Stop looking for people to fill your 20 waiters' jobs. Okay, we want to run this industry. We have to be in the senior positions. I'm seeing now resort managers, general managers, coming, right? It's not through a program, but as an industry, we have to work together to create this, right? So from supervisors and up, once you come from your university in Malaysia, like you yourself, you should be put as an intern in a supervisory level with a promise to become a general manager in 5 years. That's it. Thank you very much.
I think we have one more question.
1 second, yeah, sorry. Adding to what Nabil has just said, I just wanted to make a statement actually, yeah. Nabil, I wanted to say that tourism industry is not necessarily an industry who does not finish their school and go and work. I myself joined the industry 19 years ago after a Swiss hotel school bachelor's degree, 3.5 years of study. I joined. I still remember my mom and dad, they told me, Shamin, why do you have to work in the resort? I said, Mom, I want to make a career. So today, I became who I am because I did that job of cleaning the pots. I did the job of working in the laundry. I did the job of room attendant as well. Why? Because when I go to the top, I want to know what others are doing. Otherwise, how do you know? I mean, tell me an industry which can promise you, unless you, enroll in a fictitious thing. Tell me an industry where you can go and, become a general manager in 3.5 years. I think it's very unrealistic. Tourism industry, the industry which we have become today, is because that the people who work in the industry are passionate about what they do. They want to do what they do. So the example that you have mentioned about a boy who has worked for 16 years to become a supervisor, I think that the boy should not have worked in the same resort for 16 years, because we also have to take our personal responsibility for growth as well. It is not only HR responsibility to grow and push people, it's our personal responsibility as well. My gold standard, 2 years in a job, if you get good reviews, good grades in your reviews, and if you don't progress, move. We got 170 resorts that are operating. Move. Just change jobs. Change jobs. If you can't progress in excursion, move to front office, move to F&B, move to reservation. I can tell you even now, with my 19 years of working in the Maldives and abroad, I've had people who joined as waiters, stewards, who went on to become GMs. But you have to have your passion, and you have to be determined as well. Yes, it's easy to blame HR, it's easy to blame Aalim, Shamin, and Mauroof and say, these guys, they don't help. If they are not helping, help yourself. Help yourself and grab the opportunity and move. I mean, I'm talking about my own self as well. The minute I see I'm not growing, I'll move. Because I want to grow. I want to learn. I want to experience. I have a future for myself. So the reality is we all have to take our own responsibility as well. Same way we are saying, tourism ministry have to take responsibility, university has to take responsibility, hotel GMs have to take responsibility, but we as individual workers, we have to take our own responsibility as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamin.
Actually, I agree with you. Something that Jack Ma said, what I followed in my career, I will tell you this. Jack Ma said, until the age of 35, you choose the right boss in your job, right? And then keep learning, right? And I always tell myself, I learned a lot from different global leaders. And one thing I always kept, you can go out to my LinkedIn, I have one of the largest networking connections in the Maldives. And one thing I always followed was 2 years, in my employments. And I always tell my GM after 1.5 years, I'm going to go for a new challenge, because I don't like to be not challenged. I like new challenges, right? So after 2 years, I move if I don't have new challenge, and then until 35 years, I follow that one, then I look for more stability, right? So this is the advice I keep on giving the youngsters in our industry, and I echo what Shamin said. If you are getting good reviews, you are doing great, your managers are happy, the company cannot provide you a growth opportunity, move on. 2 years is more than enough. There's nothing new to learn. You can learn something new somewhere else. So industry is full of opportunities. And I think, unfortunately, I disagree with Nabil. Because I personally don't believe that is the right attitude and approach for us to grow the team members for the future, because you need to build a resilience in this industry. We need to build resilience in people. In order to build resilience, people shouldn't just straight away go into supervisors and managers and whoever, And I think this industry is today what it is because we have built resilience, right, in it. People have put a lot of hard work. And I think people are coming with master's degree expecting assistant manager of sales, assistant manager of HR, accountant job. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you, I came with a bachelor's degree, and when I first applied, I didn't get a HR job. Can you imagine? I was a A-level teacher. I was teaching business studies, and then also I was teaching O-level maths and accounting. And I applied hospitality industry. Nobody even responded to my CV, And I kept in sending the same resort. I'm telling W hotels, right? I kept saying, I said, I will work in W only. I will start my career in W. Finally, you know what? I said, I will work for free. Give me an internship. And then I sent to general manager. He sent to the HR director. And then I got the opportunity, right? So I think the perseverance actually helped me to get a job from where I wanted, because I want to learn the US structure and the best schooling in terms of hospitality industry startup. I think first and foremost you need to make sure is when you send your kid to a hotel or resort, always do your research and see how the learning culture in that particular resort is, how the structure is. Do we have a good foundation? Because very, very important is laying the right foundation for your kid. If you send the wrong place which doesn't have a good learning culture, good structure, good, I think, in terms of policies and things like that, to get this person to better start, then the person will come back to you as your father, as a father or mother, say, no, I cannot work in hospitality industry. I think this has happened quite a lot of, newcomers, and parents have shared the same with me. Some staff, they have, newcomers have shared with me. Particularly it's because when they come, they were actually not well informed, or they didn't do their research. So do your research, make sure you have the structure in place for your kid to get the relevant training. Yeah, thank you.
I agree, Aalim. I would like to request Destination Future to have a separate summit for this topic so that we can continue this topic. I think we have provided a lot of information, a very informative debate on what we need and what the industry needs, and like I said, aligning our education with the industry needs. So with that, I apologize if anyone has any questions and we don't have time. We will talk at the after party. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Have a very good day.
Thank you.
Allah